So Manchester United have been in the market for a striker all summer. We've been linked with, of course, Gyökeres, who ended up going to Arsenal. Isak, spoke about him last week, got a bit excited. And I said I wouldn't really have a conversation about the Sesko story until it seemed to be developing. Now, either United are A, just getting used as a pawn by Newcastle and Leipzig as part of this whole Sesko to Newcastle deal with Isak going to Liverpool possible, or United are genuinely interested in signing him. And I need to know what you think in the comments. I've got an opinion on Sesko. I'll let you know it now. Obviously, it's kind of what the video is about. Not everyone's going to agree with it, but it's just kind of how I feel about him. Because Sesko, look, if you haven't seen the news, let me tell you exactly what's happened first. Right? That's kind of what I always do. Now, today isn't a random day where Sesko's kind of come out of nowhere. This was David Ornstein, what was it, last week, saying that the focus is shifting towards a striker. Now that Mbeumo is done, the Ekitike story, we know what happened there, right? Gyökeres, we know what happened there. Sesko, well, we know what might be happening there. And Watkins and Jackson we'll have a conversation about. And then early this morning, Florian Plettenberg, who he's not exactly had the strongest of summers, let's be totally honest, in terms of the stories that he's breaking, but he's out in Sky Sports Germany. I think it's fair to say that he's going to have stronger sources when it comes to news in Germany, saying that United and Newcastle are currently in talks with Sesko and his representatives, right? Trying to get an agreement and then go towards Leipzig with the offer. And this is what Fabrizio's had to say. He said, it's a key week for Benjamin Sesko's future as Manchester United have also approached his camp to ask for the deal conditions. Newcastle presented their project last week. Florian Plettenberg's followed it up saying, look, United are not giving up on Sesko. They presented it all to him. United want to sign him. Can I just highlight that there? 80 million euros. Sesko. Right, let me know what you think in the comments, because for me, looking at this, and this might be harsh, may well be, but I just don't think it would be the smartest decision by Manchester United to go and spend 80 million euros on Sesko. Now, I can understand the irony here, for the fact that last week, when the Isak story came out that he wanted to leave, but last week was only like 4 days ago, actually, and I got giddy. Hands in the air. I got carried away with that one. There's no chance we're ever really going to sign him, I don't think. I was like, oh, maybe you can get Garnacho in there and then put Sancho in, add some biscuits, I don't know, pack of super noodles and just see if they fancy it. No, we're never going to sign him. But Sesko, $80 million euros on Sesko. Do I think that's, even if United had 80 million euros, do I think it would be the best use of cash this summer? Now that I can step back and my emotions aren't involved and Isak's not there, and I'll be like, no, it's not. I don't think so anyway. And I think effectively kind of what this comes down to, I might be wrong on this one, but it feels like it could come down to like a choice between Watkins and Sesko. Two very, very different types of strikers, but also just completely different types of strikers, not with their profile and how they play, but in what they represent. You've got Sesko, who is effectively, would be, if he was to be signed, like a project striker. He's somebody that right, okay, so you're signing somebody who's 21, he's had a couple of years' experience in the Bundesliga, you know the fundamentals, there's areas of his game where he could develop, there's areas where he's very good, yeah, sure. But he's somebody you bring in to be at your club 3, 4, 5, 6 years, somebody you build around. Ollie Watkins, on the other hand, is somebody who's 29, going on 30, and you know exactly what you're going to get. But you also know that you're going to have to replace him in a couple of years. So what do United think they need right now? And this is where I probably draw the line on Sesko. Maybe not draw the line on Sesko. That's the wrong way to describe it. I still think the numbers are going to make it impossible for United to compete for him. But I would prefer that United got some, and I've seen someone just spreading just straight up lies really about what I've said about Watkins. Oh, you know, he would rather go after him for no. 40 mil, and even 40 mil is a push, I would say, for Watkins. He's somebody who would come in and I would say pretty much guarantee he's going to get between 15 and 20 Premier League goals for the next 2 seasons. I can't guarantee anything past those 2 seasons because of the age, but you never know. He might do 3, he might do 4, depending on how his injuries and his fitness goes. But with Chido coming through, he's 17, 2 years stewardship from him, and then Chido's 19 going on 20 after 2 years of what? That seems like a succession plan to me. In the same way, I actually think that Bruno and Mainu are kind of going to do a bit of a succession plan in that number 8 role, but that's for a separate video. Whereas Sesko, and maybe this is because I'm partly stung by Højlund, I can understand that a little bit. But given our need in midfield, the idea of going to spend 80 million euros on a striker who, hey, look, this isn't me saying that Sesko is an awful striker, because it's far from that. It's just that certain players at certain points in their careers match the project that your football club is doing. And Man United is a project right now, okay? Man United, we know what the project is. Project 150. Win the title in 3 years' time. I'm not saying that Sesko is an awful striker and he can't develop and be that guy, but what United have shown this summer with Cunha, with Mbeumo, is a desire for immediate upturn. And I just think when it comes to risks and taking risks, 80 million euros on Sesko would, in my opinion, be too much of a risk. But it's clear that United are sort of having conversations about it. Whether or not it leads to anything more, we don't quite know. I think it would be a pretty damn good signing for Newcastle. It could well be that he comes in, Isak goes to Liverpool, and he becomes a great striker in a couple of years' time. United are after Sesko. I'm not saying that's impossible. I'm just saying that right now, if I had a choice between these two, and if I had a choice between two situations where I'm spending 80 million euros on a striker, or I'm spending maximum 40 million pounds on a striker, and that leaves more money that I can then spend on a central midfielder, then I'm choosing the latter. I think it would be the smarter play. And I'll say one more time, I completely understand the irony of me saying that after what I said with Isak. And that's a separate case. But I really want to know where you stand on this, because I'm going to be interested to know if more United fans would want Sesko than Watkins. I'm definitely going to do a poll on this in the live show on, well, tomorrow, really. I don't know whether this is just United getting used by, there we go, back over here. I don't know whether this is just United getting used by Newcastle and Leipzig as some sort of leverage tool in a transfer. Leipzig to try and drive the price up. And well, it wouldn't be Newcastle using it, let's be totally honest. Let me know what you think in the comments, right? If you had a choice between Watkins and Sesko, who would you choose as the first question? And secondly, just sort of like, would you want United to go after Sesko if we had the money? Which, of course, is the big if this summer, given that we still have sold 0 players. But let me know what you think about this in the comments, because I think this one's going to be an interesting debate.